From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, honoring organ donors and their families. Videos celebrating these heroes that are giving so much comfort and getting noticed. Lindsay.
Topping our lineup, CDC leaders say in-person learning is safe if certain precautions are taken. Education leaders and teachers are giving their take on the debate. Some people have had to rack up credit card debt because of the pandemic. The push to get help for this included in the next stimulus bill. And this may look like some typical crash test video, but the message behind this research is very specific. The problem car safety experts say has not improved and could impact any of us at any time.
Now at 5:30, putting the spotlight on a life-saving mission that requires the utmost sensitivity and care. The Indiana Donor Network is being recognized nationally and regionally for its efforts to support donor families and honor the memory of donor heroes. WRTV's Troy Washington explains how they are comforting families navigating the grieving and healing process.
This little heart on your driver's license, it can save lives, and that's the mission here at the Indiana Donor Network, to spread hope and healing to all.
I don't think there's anything to compare to losing a loved one. But however, when you consider that you have the opportunity to help others.
A donor hero can be honored for saving one life or many lives through the gifts of organ and tissue donation.
Videos like this give comfort. They were created to help families realize the legacy a donor hero creates through changing lives.
Understanding that this is not where their loved one's story ends and that their loved one now goes on to live on through other transplant recipients.
Mike Frey lost his son Cade just 2 days before Thanksgiving. On the day many are sitting down to share gratitude, his son became a donor hero.
We're going in Thanksgiving Day sad that we're losing our son, but there's so many people that were going in Thanksgiving Day that someone is donating and they're going to be able to live on.
Frey says his son had his whole life ahead of him.
Just an amazing kid. Loved to play soccer. He raced quarter midgets when he was younger. He loved dirt bikes. Hard worker. He graduated high school at Sullivan High School this past year.
His passing was unexpected for his family, but through the donor network, his legacy lives on.
A young man in his 20s who received his heart. There was a gentleman in his 70s that received his liver. And then the gentleman in the 70s that received his lungs. And then the 2 women who received kidneys and pancreas.
Kate's family received an overwhelming outpouring of support online, and they also took part in the donor moment of silence that each family participates in. It allows families to peacefully proceed with the grieving process. Both this moment of silence and the comfort video, they're done to give families some peace as they move forward in the healing process. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
And the Donor Comfort video earned a Healthcare Leadership Award, and the Donor Hero Moment of Silence earned recognition as a finalist in the Shorty Social Good Awards. Kyle.
It's one of those cold days, Amanda, but a bright day, especially when it was reflecting off of some of that snow that we had and picked up across central Indiana yesterday evening, especially central and southern locations. You didn't see a whole lot of snow to the north, but that could change here before too long. We got temperatures right at 30 degrees in Indy, Kokomo, and Bloomington. A little bit of a west to northwest breeze, though, that's making those feels like numbers drop a little closer to 20. Feels like 21 downtown, feels like 16 in Richmond, and 22 in the Lafayette area. We're not really dealing with snow, but you can see the lakes. They are not frozen over. You can see that northwest wind that's coming across them, bringing some lake effect snow there across the belts into portions of Michigan, even northeastern Indiana. Not expecting any of that to reach central Indiana, as our skies will continue to clear out here a bit. We're at 24 degrees at 8 o'clock. 22 will be your temperature at 10. We'll start off in the teens tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot of a warm up until we get to the weekend. Another weather system to watch as well. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Lindsay.
Checking the news feed, weekly jobless claims are down, but still high. 847,000 Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week. Nearly 4.8 million Americans continue to receive traditional state unemployment benefits. If you're looking for a job, you might want to check out Lowe's. It plans on hiring 50,000 employees for the spring. The company is also going to pay frontline workers about $80 million in discretionary bonuses. The U.S. economy shrank 3.5% last year, the largest amount in 74 years, and this is despite growing at a 4% rate in the last 3 months. Nursing homes are dealing with staffing shortages, adding another challenge to care during the pandemic. More than 3,000 nursing homes had a shortage of nurses or other direct care staff last month. This is according to an analysis of government data by U.S. PERG Education Fund and Frontier Group released today. They found shortages of aides were the most widespread problem in December. This affected 20% of nursing homes across the country, up from 17% in May. Nationally, nursing shortages were nearly as bad, affecting 18% of nursing homes in December, up from 15% in May.
Nursing homes had staffing shortage issues even before the pandemic. So I don't know how widely known that was, but certainly then once the pandemic started, everything just got a lot worse.
The nonprofit Center for Medicare Advocacy reviewed 4 recent studies. It found nursing facilities that have more nurses are more successful in containing coronavirus cases and deaths among residents. The Industry Association for Nursing Homes says it needs more money to address the staffing shortages.
Clearly, people cost money. That's number one. They need to be able to pay more overtime to the workers who are able to, the ones who don't have childcare issues or other family obligations. They need to be able to hire temporary staff. In a lot of cases, independent contractors cost more than a regular employee.
The latest $1.9 trillion stimulus proposal does include more money for PPE, testing, and vaccines, but we don't know yet specifically how much nursing homes and long-term care facilities would receive. Still ahead in our lineup, there's another push by new federal leaders to get kids back into classrooms. We talked to teacher groups about how in-person learning is going, and the one thing that they all say needs to be a priority to get schools open.
The ongoing pandemic is impacting Butler University today, both academically and athletically. Today, Butler announced it will freeze tuition for the 2021-2022 school year that starts this fall. The university says it will keep tuition and fees at the same level as the current school year. Butler's president says he hopes it will help ease the financial burden on students and parents brought on by the pandemic. Butler's men's basketball team will also have an extra day off because of the coronavirus. Today, the Big East Conference announced that the game between the Bulldogs and Xavier that was scheduled for tomorrow has been pushed back to Saturday. The conference says it's due to additional COVID-related testing precautions. Tip-off at Hinkle Fieldhouse will now be Saturday at 5:30.
There's new data and opinions from CDC researchers on opening schools safely and what's happening in communities that have in-person learning. A paper published by JAMA shows case studies out of Mississippi and North Carolina when schools opened. It found virus transmission within schools was very rare. Also, most kids were exposed while attending gatherings and social functions outside the home or by visitors in the home. In Wisconsin, where kids were wearing masks, there was less COVID in the schools than in the community.
The kids are completely on board with the mask thing. I mean, I've taught everything from kindergarten to 5th grade, like in the last couple, 2, 3, 4 months.
Substitute teacher Kathy Glasser has been in multiple classrooms in Florida since early fall. She's never had to quarantine over school exposure. She's sent sick kids home and does daily temperature checks on herself and students. She believes classrooms are safe and credits leadership with putting guidance in place and constant communication. But she also believes that everyone has a role.
I just believe that if you take responsibility for yourself, just like, and that's what they're teaching the kids. You know, it's your job to keep yourself protected.
They're safer than going shopping at the grocery store.
The VP of Kelly Education in the Southeast says one of the most disruptive things is opening and then having to close again because of outbreaks. And that's why the paper points to some school activities that aren't appropriate and have led to outbreaks. Federal health officials say communities have to also be on board with reducing community spread by limiting things like indoor dining.
I think our schools have done a really good job on their own with very limited resources.
There are still lots of places in the country where districts are not enforcing a mask requirement.
The American Federation of Teachers has been advocating for schools to reopen by using masking, social distancing, and testing in communities with lower to moderate spread. And now they're advocating for teachers and school staff to be a priority for vaccines.
They know in-school learning is important, but they have a right to be safe, and that's what we're trying to help put together in every district.
Some areas have started vaccinating or signing up teachers, but supply is a challenge. The CDC does include teachers in the second priority group for vaccines, but it's ultimately up to states and jurisdictions how to hand out vaccine supply. Ahead in our lineup, the amount of debt some people have had to take on during the pandemic through their credit cards and loans is crushing. The push to include help to address this debt in the next stimulus bill. The Pfizer vaccine works against the new variants of COVID that tops the news feed. A study was commissioned by the company. It found new variants only had a small effect on the vaccine's efficacy. That study has not been peer-reviewed. The CDC is looking at whether the new COVID variants are causing more cases of a rare complication in children. It's called multisystem inflammatory syndrome, and it can cause heart damage and shows up about 3 weeks after a child has been infected. American Airlines and Southwest have both reported quarterly losses. American's revenue fell more than 64%. Southwest reported its first loss since 1972, down between 65 and 70%. Brokers are restricting trading in GameStop stock. GameStop is a holdover from the 1990s, found mostly in shopping malls. It had been struggling with the pandemic economy, and its stock price was way down until amateur investors from Reddit stepped in and drove up GameStop shares. Financial experts, as well as the author of The Wolf of Wall Street, remind people that these are overhyped stocks. Robinhood has delisted GameStop, as well as AMC and BlackBerry. Uber is educating its drivers about how to spot human trafficking. January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Uber teamed up with Polaris to create an educational video. It focuses on how and why human trafficking presents itself, myths and misconceptions, and how to reach out for help if they see something alarming. Apple will roll out a new privacy control for the iPhone. The update will prevent apps from secretly tracking people. Currently, iPhone users are tracked by apps unless they go to their settings and change that. The new update is expected to roll out in late March or April.
Some beautiful sunshine out there this evening as we get ready for that sun to set, but the daylight hours, they continue to get a little bit longer here into the evening. We'll take it where we can get it because we have had a lot of cloudy days out there too. 30 degrees for us right now in Indy. You're at 28 in Greenfield. 30 degrees in Bloomington and 28 in the Crawfordsville area. Tonight, with those mostly clear skies, temperatures will drop down into the teens, about 15 degrees in the city. Now, some locations south and west of Indy where you've got a little more snow still on the ground may drop down into the lower teens as we go into tomorrow morning. Planning out your finally Friday here. Once again, lots of sunshine that we will enjoy, and we're going to need that as temperatures will still be in the teens here at 8 a.m., only 22 at 10 a.m. So it will be kind of a slow climb as we go through the day. Afternoon temperatures that will make their way into the lower and middle 30s for that afternoon high. 35 in Indy. Bloomington should continue to melt away some of that snow with a high of 38, but you'll only be around the freezing mark in Richmond and 34 in Muncie. There's a look at that storm system that as we get into the upcoming weekend will be bringing the chance for some snow and some rain to central Indiana. So here's kind of an in-depth look at that. Saturday evening expecting all snow across central Indiana. Then we get through the day on Sunday here. I think central locations may switch over to rain while we stay primarily snow to the north. Going into Sunday evening, we'll see all of that transitioning back over to some snow. And that is certainly going to have an impact on those snow accumulations. But some of us could see several inches here as we go through the weekend. More on that as we get a little bit closer. And of course, Kevin will have an update here at 6. As we look at that 7-day planning forecast, temperatures staying in the 30s until we get to Thursday.
Americans owe nearly $1 trillion in credit card debt. That's an all-time high, according to the Federal Reserve. Much of that debt was piled on over the last half of 2020. Alicia Nieves is looking into what it will take for some to get out of this debt.
In just the first few months of the pandemic, more than 20 million Americans lost their jobs.
Hi, I'm Gwen Turos.
Hi, my name's Amy Blasio. I'm Mary from Minnesota.
These three women are among the 10 million that still have not been able to return to work.
Once I lost my job in April, my unemployment was only $65 a week. So I was getting the extra $600, which was helping some.
For all three ladies, when the federal $600 supplemental ended in July of last year, things went from bad to worse.
We knew that there was going to be some kind of gap. We didn't realize that there would just be a complete donut hole.
For almost 6 months, as Congress couldn't come to an agreement on another stimulus bill, these ladies had to survive on as little as $35 a week in unemployment benefits. For Gwen, that didn't even cover half of her wife's $500 monthly health care insurance premium, a new cost they had to pay since she too was now unemployed. For Mary, it barely provided food for her and her son, and for Amy, it didn't even cover the cost of gas to get her 11 children to school each week.
There's been many mornings that I pray that if I run out of gas, I don't run out of gas until after I drop them all off at school, so that it's just me that I have to worry about getting home.
Each has had to load up their credit cards or take out loans and is now thousands of dollars in debt.
The number one thing we are hearing in our organization is people saying, but what about all of the debt I have now?
Stephanie Freed is with Extend PUA, an organization of thousands of Americans who are unemployed fighting for help from Congress. Its latest battle is over this debt crisis, asking Congress for retroactive unemployment payments that would be some portion of the $600 supplemental that ended in July.
Pretending the last 5 months didn't happen is frankly childish to say, oh, well, I got away with that. We got away with not helping for 5 months, so we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. People won't survive.
Retroactive unemployment benefits are so far not included in Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package, and it's unclear if it will eventually get tacked onto this plan or a future one.
I'm guessing that where we are, it would take me 4 years of work in order to catch up from the blow of this pandemic.
I'm 44 years old. It's $26,000. I make $30,000 a year on a normal year, working full time. I will never get that paid back.
If retroactivity is not included, I feel like I'll be in debt forever.
With another potential long-term impact of this pandemic debt, I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Experts say new data suggests an unemployment benefits expansion would be better than another round of relief checks. Opportunity Insights, a nonprofit research group, looked at how families use their second payments. Households making less than $46,000 a year spent the money quickly. Those with an income more than $78,000 saved most of their $600 payment. Facebook will stop recommending civic and political groups to its users. That tops the news feed. This comes in the wake of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the decision is a, quote, continuation of the work they've been doing to turn down the temperature and discourage divisive conversations. Zillow is working to protect renters from discrimination. A new feature shares information about local laws that prohibit landlords from discriminating against renters using financial assistance. The CVS Health Foundation has established a 5-year, $5 million scholarship program. It's in collaboration with the United Negro College Fund. The scholarships will be awarded to Black and Latinx students pursuing an academic career in healthcare. Finally in our lineup, this may look like typical crash test video, but the message behind this research is very specific. The problem car safety experts say has not improved and could impact any of us at any time. We've all been in a hurry behind the wheel, looking to save a few minutes by going just a little faster than we should. New crash test video shows just how dangerous that can be, though. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and AAA demonstrated what happens when a small SUV crashes at 40, 50, and 56 miles per hour. At 40, the driver's space stays pretty well protected. At 50, you can really see the difference. The driver's side door opening, dashboard, and foot area are all compromised. But just 6 miles an hour faster than that, the driver's area is significantly impacted with severe neck injuries and bone fractures likely.
We did these tests because speed continues to be one of the major problems that we have when you look at U.S. traffic fatalities.
The IIHS president says speed is a factor in more than 25% of traffic deaths, and there's been little progress in improving that over the last decade. Data showed speeding became even more of a problem at the start of the pandemic. While newer cars do come with additional safety features to prevent crashes, they still perform about the same in crash tests as the model vehicle used in these simulations. In fact, this vehicle was chosen because it's one of the vehicles that tested well in its safety, and it represents the average age vehicle on the road. 40 miles per hour represents about 80% of U.S. crashes.
Saving a few minutes on a trip is not worth the increased risk of potentially being involved in a crash and potentially being injured in a crash. And so it really pays to slow down and save a life.
The Institute recognizes getting people to slow down is a collaborative effort from car makers to road engineers, policymakers, and even insurance companies. By the way, there are some insurance discounts offered for maintaining safe speeds. Meanwhile, NerdWallet found just a speeding ticket, not even a crash, can raise your rates by as much as 25%. So many people are waiting their turn for the vaccine. We've discovered as policies about who gets vaccinated when differs between states, some people are hitting the road in search of the shot. Tomorrow, how vaccine tourism is frustrating some who say it's pushing people farther behind in line.
A lot of sunshine that we will enjoy on Friday. It stays chilly, though, with temperatures only in the middle 30s. Then it's an active weekend. While we're dry much of Saturday, that rain-snow mix develops, and it will carry over into Sunday with highs in the upper 30s. Thanks for joining us at 5:30. The news at 6 starts.